Hi everyone and welcome to the Australian Small Business Podcast. My name is Julian Gale. I'm here with Chris Smith, CEO of Happy HR and Yoke Agency. How are you this morning?
G'day Jules, thank you and nice to be here.
Always is on a nice frosty Melbourne morning. Hey, this morning I wanted to chat about, the future workplace experience, as though that obviously over the last 12 months, the workplace has evolved excessively. It's always evolving. It's really sped it up now, but now we're really needing to consider, what does the workplace look like moving forwards, whether that's from, the culture, our perspective, our decision making. I mean, I know I'm opening a can of worms here, but what's your take on it?
So I've been doing a lot of research around future workplaces, and every workplace will be quite different. Mm-hmm. So it always comes back to, for me, that your customers will have a vote of confidence in you with the money which they spend.
That's going to be a good indication.
Right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you need to create a future employee experience where people understand what your business does from the perspective of your customers. Now, this seems like it's really out there thinking, but a lot of businesses are starting to try and understand what this means, and they actually are starting to get that for many businesses, it's a monumental shift in employee group thinking. And that is from doing the research, I've discovered a lot of challenges that lots of organisations are going to face.
I mean, I think it's an interesting and smart way to think about it, is that if we're looking at it from the employee point of view, I mean, that's the end point, that's the end goal. A satisfied customer is where any business wants to get to. So reverse engineering it back from there and looking at it from their perspective is vital, because you can sit here and talk about it from your perspective, but at the end of the day, the market decides.
Correct. So it's important to look at, so the future employee experience. So everything you do, yes, you've got mission, vision, and values, and I absolutely hold those absolutely dear to decision making. But what's also important is by having a process and procedure that, and let's face it, lots of businesses, different employees, whether it's sales or invoicing or dispatch or customer service, all of these employees touch in marketing, whatever, all these employees touch your customers. So what's important is to think about your business, that what's the best culture, how do we digitalize it, how do we reduce admin, how do we reduce friction for that department and or role, and instill a customer first mentality that is the core DNA of every process, procedure, and that sits in the business. And by doing that, and actually really giving a damn about a net promoter score or other, this helps you to understand your customers' experience with you, or when they give you negative feedback, you actually can do something really proactive with that, because your staff have got a procedure of delivering that feedback, so the business can then make sure the next person doesn't have that experience. But businesses work so much slower than it's always the customer's fault. It's someone else's fault. So you actually have to take every customer's little bit of feedback, that your business depends on that feedback. Now, it might be that the business is at no fault, but still, that's the perception. So working towards what's the future of work is actually saying, well, we are here in the end to create a great experience for our customers. However, the business's process and procedures are more aligned around risk mitigation instead of being customer centric. And the problem with that is you will only grow to a point and then top out. You'll have a ceiling. Great companies that take their companies forward are always based around consumer experience, because process, procedure, mindset, culture, And the future of that employee's experience at the company is all about the customer. In essence, making life easier for that customer.
It is. It's
And Amazon's a great example of this.
I mean, sales to me, because I come from sales background, is providing a solution to a problem. It doesn't matter what you are selling. I don't care if you're selling a car, clothes, a CD, food. You are providing a solution to someone's problem. You're providing food because they're hungry. You're providing fancy food because they want to have a nice fancy dinner and feel good about it. Like whatever you're selling.
Yeah, it comes down to, you look at, like I was just mentioning Amazon, you look at, I can find anything I want at the click of a button, and it's going to be delivered to me in a time frame that is acceptable to me, and it's going to tell me where it's at on that journey. So they've mapped the customer experience and doubled down on experience.
And convenience.
And that's the thing. They've actually a business that have so dialed into their customers that they are at a level where their customers become their biggest advocate, where businesses that don't do this and they haven't got procedures set up around driving predictable, great outcomes for clients means that the future of that work is always about solving client problems, solving client issues, where not being proactive with that support or proactive with your thinking means that you don't digitalize your business, you stop. Yes, risk management is important, but you need to consider how you've dialed down on your really micro thinking on what that role actually does. And that's a big problem for businesses trying to scale today.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely crucial. So we're going from the customer focus. I know that you mentioned before we started talking about this, it's a combination of really looking at what the customer wants, what the customer needs, what appeals to the customer, but then coupling that with your values when you're making decisions.
Yep.
I mean, talk to me about that.
So you've got every business has a problem, and it solves a problem, and that's why people purchase that product. Or people have got a need and you solve that need. But when you are saying, okay, in this business to solve this customer's needs, I need my staff to understand our purpose, which is our vision, our day-to-day activities, which is our mission, and our values is what makes us who we are, what drives our behaviours, what drives our thinking, what challenges the status quo. And that then gets truly aligned to the customer experience. So if you're articulating your values to a customer, and then you are ensuring that the customers are having that experience and seeking feedback from the customers to quantify that you're meeting your mission, vision, and values, it means that your position descriptions and your processes in turn become more customer-centric. Now, HR has a great place to play, a big part to play here, because the position descriptions and the measurements of performance and the way that you relay communication, the way that you become customer-centric to your customers, you in turn become employee-centric. So the future of employees is about employees understanding how they contribute to the customer's experience, not how they contribute to the company's experience.
Yeah, that's the
and that's the big change that people are starting to understand. And if you create data around customer experience rather than company experience, you end up with a far greater, scalable, more happier business, more employee retention, more customer retention, more profits. It just makes sense.
That employee part, if you're making your customers happy, they love you, they're raving about you, they're repeating, they're not cancelling subscriptions or whatever it is that your product is. If you're hiring the right people, they will feed off that. They want to see that end result. I know here at Happy HR, we love it when we see people just going, I love this. This makes my job so much easier. Thank you so much. Because that is so fulfilling for people in their roles.
Yeah, correct. And a big part of what I think is actually continuous improvement. Would I say we are perfect? Like any digital company, Apple's growing, Microsoft is growing, Amazon is growing. We're all growing, but it's having a growth mindset pegged back to how can you improve the customer experience, and putting those things in place and asking yourself through data points how we're actually going there is how you're going to get the employee and experience and the customer experience to actually align. And that's what I'm talking about. It's aligning the customer and the employee experience, because if that's aligned, the company will be healthy, right? So it's a lot of these blogs, etc. I'm reading, I make the employees happy, do all this stuff. Yes, it's all important, but if the customer's miserable, no one wins.
No.
So it's important that the customers know that they're going to be cared for the employees, and the employees know they're here to help the customers. Yes, they're there to serve the business's, mission, vision, and values, but that is what drives customer-centric behaviour. And by having your HR planned, turning outwards for a moment and focusing on customer journey rather than company journey, you're going to have a stronger business.
No, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, I think that's something all business owners need to consider. They need to go back and consider, okay, let's look at this from the customer's perspective. Do we understand our customer? Are we hitting all the hot buttons that are needed? Are we doing everything which is going to make them turn into repeat customers and referrers? And if you're not, great, there's room to improve. If you are, well done.
Yep, correct.
All right. Well, look, I think that's something that is a lot for people to have a think about, a lot of good things, and they can stop and go, okay, am I thinking about this from the customer's point of view? If not, I'm going to put some time aside to do this. Any final points? You think that's pretty succinct? That's exactly what any business owners need to consider this week?
Yeah, I just think about, but look, it's sometimes a really hard conversation to have with your team and your customers to say, how can we improve this relationship? And how could our employees serve you better? But also, how can we make and solve your problems in easier, more effective, more cost-effective, time-effective, whatever it is? Having an open conversation, this is actually something that a lot of businesses and a lot of business owners have a lot of troubles with. But having the conversation, rip off that Band-Aid, have a crack at it, and then create processes and behaviours around it. In the end, you're going to have a better business because of it. And it's just a really poignant thing that a lot of great businesses that are scaling right now are focusing on that customer experience. And in the end, that's what's going to matter when it all counts. Who's got the most customers at the end of the day? Happy customers, I should say.
Love it. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening today. We really feel that's going to be something which is beneficial. We hope it is. Look, if you've got any feedback or any more queries about that future workplace experience, email us at help@happyhr.com. If you're looking for a way to automate all of your HR processes to allow you to spend more time focusing on this, jump over to happyhr.com, have a look at what we can do for you. We are your HR department in a box. Do a demo, reach out. We're here to answer any of your questions to make your business HR happy. Chris, thanks so much.
Thanks, Jules.
Take care.